Welcome to Night Scrums Reviews. Today we are looking at the DNA design DK-02, 03, and 04. We'll do 03 at the very end because it is literally just this. First up, we have the DK-02. In it, we've got a pair of legs for Cerebros. These two screw hole fillers, because you're going to remove these two screws and not replace them. A pair of nice new articulated hands with laser guns that you can deploy. A pair of hip guns and clips to attach them to either his hips or his back. As I mentioned, DK3 is the Gear Master set, which is just this gun. It is the same one that is used for Scorponok, and they can be used interchangeably. He just doesn't have the armor that's on the side. And to put it in Scorponok mode, you just flip this back. It's very stiff to switch back and forth, so I try not to do it too much. But this is the little peg that pegs into Scorponok's claw. And when it's fully in this mode, Scorponok can wield it, or you can take Scorponok's orange gun and flip this down to let Fortress Maximus use it. And finally, DK4, you get a pair of shoes for Fort Max that will fake ankle articulation for him and give him extra runways in vehicle and base mode. A new crotch plate to give him more of a G1 look. Some gap fillers for Cerebros' arms, and to cover up the screw holes on his chest. A myriad of these little peg holes to fill in, peg hole fillers for Fort Max, and to help his shoes attach in the various modes. And a new set of hip ratchets. I've already got one installed, so this is the one that I haven't put in yet. All right, let's get started with Cerebros. I'm going to start by taking these two screws off. On each leg. And what these legs do is they will actually shift around to give Fort Max a cleaner looking head. It's not entirely necessary. I'm going to do a side-by-side after I install this one, so you can look and see if it's a part of the kit that you're actually going to want to use. All right, so you're just going to want to open it up like that. It got a little stuck on me. Slide his leg on. This is a pretty tight fit, and then just one of these fillers. They'll hold the leg in place because this moving is part of the transformation. So we're just going to start transforming him like normal. And then, normally, take his leg, flip it down, flip his toe and heel up, flip out the horn, and there you go. Not bad looking. This time you flip that. It'll peg in. Open this if it wants to open. Fold that up. This one you're going to want to turn to the side. And then the heel you're going to want to flip 180 degrees. So it looks like that. A bit cleaner over here. It does the job, does what it intends to do. The pieces are a little flimsy on mine, so just keep that in mind to decide if you want to do it. It does make it look nice and slimmer, so it's not as boxy. I do prefer the look of them on, so I keep them on. And here he is with both legs installed. Definitely think it looks better. Gives him slightly slender head, more slender, as slender as a 2-foot tall robot can get. But yeah, I think that definitely is an improvement. Just wish that the toes and feet weren't as loose as they are, but I can probably throw some nail polish in there to tighten them up a little bit. And I always try to save my extra parts so that if I ever do decide to sell it or give it away or go back to stock, I can. Okay, next up we are going to do the hands. You got nothing there. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws over here. Gonna want to find a thin screwdriver that is long enough because these are deep in there. When I first got this kit and tried it out, that was one of my biggest hurdles, was not having a screwdriver long enough to reach the screws. Scorponok was even worse. Now you're just going to lift that out. Keep that one set in place. Set. And they're all nice and snug. Put his forearm back on. And then screw it down. Once you're done, you have some nicely articulated fingers. All the same joints you have. And some new blasters on the back of his hands. And here's the look so you can see the comparison of the two different hands. You got your DNA over here and your stock over here. Now let's add on his hip blasters. We're gonna start by adding on the clips. And they just go right on like that. They're the same all around. Doesn't matter which side, which one goes on. You're going to slip in, get my fingers out of the way, to that little notch, and this clip part will hold it in place. And what that does is it will give those two pegs something to clip into so that he can have these mounted on his back if you don't like the way they look on his hips. Just like that. If you do want them on his hips, just wiggle right out. You have these two holes right there. And you got peg there. You're gonna just fold that in. plug it in. And this is to replicate his G1 waist cannons. I personally prefer them on his back. They look good. They look better in base mode anyway. And they hold on a lot better back there too. One thing I forgot to mention is that when you are changing out the hands, the all blue arm has one extra screw hole right here in the middle that this side does not have. So just be aware of that so that you're not trying to figure out why it's not coming apart. All right, now let's get on to DK-04. And we're going to start with the crotch. Now, what some of you may or may not realize is that the Titans Return Fortress Maximus was a heavy retool of the Thrilling 30 Metroplex, but they did cut quite a few corners, one of which was instead of giving him his own crotch piece, they just turned his hips around, and this is Metroplex's butt. And Fort Max's butt is Metroplex's crotch. So we got 4 screws to take out here. This piece right here will go back to being the butt piece, and we're going to install the new crotch piece, which is modeled to look after his G1 counterpart, which is why it has that red dot, because the G1 had that red dot. All right, you got this piece down here. I just keep all of that together. There's the crotch, the Metroplex crotch. Gonna put on our new one. Flip this bad boy over. And that is just going to slide right back there. And now just tighten everything up. And now, Fort Max has its proper crotch. Now let's add the gap fillers to Cerebros here. So we are going to fill the forearm gaps and then these right here. You're going to want to orientate them like this, where this part is on the lower side. And that, plug into that groove. Pretty good color match, especially with the legs. So just like that. Then you got these pieces. They are mirrors of each other. So it's not quite square. And you're going to just kind of shove it in there. And while it doesn't match because of the chrome, it does hide the screw. It sticks up a little bit, but it does continue the pattern. And I always like to not see screws if I can help it. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Ties the chest in with the abdomen. So now Cerebros is all set. Now it's time for the hips. These pegs are from the kit. They are used for combining with the feet, the shoes. One of them will cover this hole up. That's why it's out right now. They are a pain to take out. Once they're in, they are in there pretty good. So there's not a whole lot of risk of losing one unless you pull them out and drop them like I did, which is why this one is missing. I'm sure I'll find it sometime when I'm cleaning, but for now, it's missing. You got 3 screws. I've already got one of the hips installed. So we're only going to do one today. Set that one aside. Here is your old hip. Compared to the new hip. You do get new springs. You don't have to use them. They're exactly the same. The new hip will give you more points of articulation, which is the major difference there, which will allow you better posability and better base transformations. Sorry if I'm breathing heavy and sniffling. I've been sick lately. So you're going to line up the slots with those pegs to kind of hold that in place. The joints were lubricated when I first took them apart, so you can take some of that lubrication and use it to lube these ones up a little bit too. Line it up so that it will hit those slots on the sides. This is always the hardest part, compressing it all back together. You want to make sure you put the leg back on first. I'm not completely tightening it right now, so I can make sure that you get into the slots for the hip joint. There we go. And there, our hip is all set. Now you can start putting on the pegs. There are two different sizes. They are a 5mm and a 6mm. You have 6 5mm and 2 6mm. They are distinguishable. This one here with the straight line across is the 5mm. This one here with the circle in the center of the line is the 6mm. And I just had that. And they'll go 5mm here, 6mm here, mirrored on the other side. And these are all 5mm here. You just push it in. And right there and there, mirrored on the other side. And there you go. Now for Fort Max's new shoes, you're going to take these. You want that to not fall out. It's okay, it pops right back in. You want it up like that. This is going to go on the outside. Let's get you so you can see the feet better. So you got these tabs right here. You're going to hook into here. Or, sorry, hook into here. Same thing on both sides. Just gonna attach it just like the other one. And now Fortress Maximus has fake articulation, ankle articulation. They look weird, not gonna lie. But now he can actually pose somewhat. All right, let's get him into his various alt modes. But before we do that, there's one more kit we almost forgot to install. DK-03. All right, so you're just gonna take his hand. There is a groove right there. Put his thumb to the side. Stick the tab in the groove. If it wants to cooperate. There we go. Curl his fingers around it. All right, curl his fingers first. And there you go. Now Fort Max is armed. Can you use that with the stock hands? Yes, yes you can. Do the same way. Groove in there. Fits right there in his hand. Color matches really nicely. Holds it perfectly fine. But if you can get the better hands, I say go for it. Because these hands are much nicer. All right. Battle station mode. Everything's pretty much the same with this. You're not not going to have a place to store his weapon. That's the one thing Scorponok does better, even though the way his weapon stores is pretty stupid. Alright. Okay, now we're in battleship mode. I already got one of the feet and one of the hip guns mounted. The hip guns just gonna peg into the holes on the side. And there you go. Legs, what we did was we flipped his waist around, flipped his legs around from there so that the cannons are up. We're going to take the foot, and these two pegs are going to go into this one and this one, I believe. I'll usually flip this up so I can see what I'm doing. I'll get the top one first so the bottom one I can line up and just plug it on. Put that down. And now we have what looks more like a battleship than what we had before. All right, basic city mode. All right, and here's your basic city mode. What we do is we take this one, put it on this peg. I'm sorry, it's gonna be this one. No, I was right the first time. Just looking to see how they line up underneath. The other one did not have this much trouble lining up. There we go. Maybe. Let's try that. And neither one of them really wants to tab in. Did not have this much trouble on the other side. Give me a second. Okay, what it is it's that peg right there, this hole. I had to re-look it up at the instructions. I was remembering it wrong. Only reason why this one worked was because I'm missing the one peg. There we go. And then this, just like before, peg hole on the side, plug it right in. So there is your standard base mode. Definitely looks a little bit better with the additions. And then next up is the base mode that everyone tries to do. So we'll take these off for now. Take these off. Sometimes they will come out and I can't grab them with my fingers, so I get a pair of pliers and just gently wiggle it out so I can plug it back in. All right. So these we're going to turn back like this. And then bend the knees so they're straight up. Make sure everything is even. This one has never really worked right for me. So you're going to go into those two, the top hole and this bottom hole right here. So those two holes. You don't want to line up perfectly, but I've done it before with both pegs on that one. This one was always just a pain. Because if you tilt it to get one of the pegs in, it puts the other one out of alignment. this way. There we go. Now there is the upright base mode. And then these, same thing, just plug them in on the sides. So this has been the review of DNA Design DK-02, 03, and 04. Should you get it? That is a tough question. Prices are increasing everywhere, but that's part of life. Like, we have prices have been increasing steadily since the 70s. If you love the Titans, especially Fort Max, I would say yes. There are some very good quality of life improvements that this gives with cleaning up the kibble around his head, giving him better hands, much better hands, and decent hip articulation, and the fake ankle articulation. Yeah, it makes him nicer. If you could only get one thing, I would say the gun. He's he needed some accessory to go with him besides the little hover car on his shin. Yes, you can pull his shin guns off and have him use them, but it's not the same. And this gun looks really cool, and it's only $17 on Big Bad Toy Store. Not a sponsor, but they could be. I'd be willing to work with them. But all in all, these kits, like I said, if you like the Titans, if you like Fortress Maximus, definitely get it. There are 3 separate ones, so you can split them up separately and get the parts that you want, or space out the purchase. All right. So until next time, this is Ice Cream signing off.